Hello again everybody! With Metal Slug Tactics releasing next week for Steam and all the major consoles, I thought now would be a good time to go over some of my thoughts on the game. I was able to play the demo on Steam back in June, and thankfully, I still had my footage from my play session. So, let's get to it.
Mission start!
Metal Slug Tactics is a tactical RPG roguelite where you will have multiple runs through various different campaigns in different regions on the world map. Your units will level up and gain various abilities and upgrades each run, gradually becoming more powerful the longer your run lasts. Eventually though, your run will end with victory or defeat in a campaign, and you'll be sent back to base to start a new run. The abilities you gained will not carry over into the next run, so you'll be starting from scratch again. There is, however, some meta progression in unlocking new upgrades and abilities, which will increase the ones you could potentially acquire during each run. And remember too that my experience with the game comes from a 4-month-old demo, and the final product could have some tweaks. The demo also only allowed limited access to many of the meta progression mechanics. More on how all this works though in a bit. For now, let's talk gameplay. Upon starting our new run, you will choose a team of 3 from the characters you have available, and yes, it does appear that you will unlock additional characters as you play through the game. Each character uses different weapons and abilities, so each team combination will require a different approach. Once you choose a region to campaign in, you'll be sent to an overworld map where you'll be able to choose from different missions to take on, each with different objectives and rewards for completing those objectives. Some examples of these rewards are things like replenishing your special weapon ammo, giving you money to use on unlocking new abilities back at base, or replenishing your reinforcement pool, allowing you to extend your run a bit farther. So even on the map, there will be strategic thought that goes into what exactly you need to do at each moment and whether you think you can actually complete the objectives on a given mission. Once you do jump into a mission, each of your units in typical tactics RPG fashion has its movement points that can be used before or after using their action point, which is used to attack or use an ability. The big mechanic in combat is the sync ability, which can allow your units to get extra free attacks in. If you line up a unit so that it has a clear shot on an enemy and then attack that enemy with another unit, that first unit will follow up this attack with one of their own without expending an action point. This sync ability really opens up the strategic options and makes you consider how to move each unit to get the maximum effect out of each turn, as each unit can participate in multiple sync attacks. Then there is the cover and evasion systems, which add in another interesting layer to the combat. The farther a unit moves on its turn, the more evasion points it earns for defense. These evasion points are direct damage negation, reducing the damage the unit will take. In addition to the evasion points, certain objects on the battlefield can provide cover as well, which also gives units damage negation. Interestingly, cover works as long as your unit is next to it, even if the enemy isn't attacking through it. Also, cover is actually destroyed when its hit points are reduced to 0, leaving your unit exposed for future turns and looking for new cover. So these mechanics really lend themselves to a mobile combat strategy where you'll need to move your units on pretty much every turn or risk them being caught in the open with no protection. Hit point totals are very small, so every hit on a unit really hurts, and it's best to avoid any damage at all if possible. Speaking of damage, if one of your units does go down during a mission, you can use a reinforcement point to get them back up and into the fight. Reinforcements are a limited resource though, and once you're out, there is no reviving units during a mission. So having a unit go down can be extremely costly, and it's often better just to finish a mission with a man down if you can, so you don't have to use up your reinforcements. Of course, no RPG would be complete without abilities. Now, as mentioned earlier, this is a roguelite tactics RPG, so gaining new abilities works a little differently than it would in a standard RPG. If you've played any roguelites in the past, you're probably familiar with it, but we'll go ahead and go into it anyway. Upon leveling up or ranking up, your units get to choose from 3 randomly selected abilities to add for the current run. These abilities are pulled from those you have unlocked in the shop back at base. So as you play through more runs, you gradually unlock more and better abilities that can be rolled on each of these rank ups. As you would expect, some of these abilities will be passive while others are active ones that you can use to attack. So while I know that the randomness can be disliked by some, the fact that they do let you choose from 3 different abilities each time, along with being able to manipulate the pool based on the abilities you focus on unlocking between runs, allows for a great deal of meta building in the background that should, in theory, translate to better and better in-run builds for each character. Now, aside from the abilities, you'll also get access to upgrades in the form of mods for your weapons during a run. These are different from abilities as these apply to specific weapons and are gained as rewards from missions rather than rank ups. These mods can sometimes modify or add new attacks to a weapon and often add passive effects as well that either boost the weapon's user or debuff the weapon's target. Similar to abilities, mods are bought in the shop and you are given a choice of 3 options from your pool each time you gain mod. As far as the types of missions you can expect, in the demo I had kill all enemies missions, escort missions, survive X amount of rounds missions, and destroy objectives or X amount of enemies missions. These are just some examples, and I'm sure that there will be more in the full game, or maybe I even missed a few while playing the demo. But what I did come across showed a good bit of variety, giving the game good replayability. Besides the main objectives for missions, there were also optional secondary objectives that you could complete for more rewards. These were things like having none of your units get KO'd during a mission, complete a mission in a certain amount of turns, or kill 4 enemies in 1 turn, among others. These secondary objectives helped to spice things up a bit and added in some additional risk and reward to each mission. Each mission type then also has its own challenges, and being able to choose between different missions on the map is a nice touch, allowing you to play it risky for better rewards or go with an easy mission just to advance your run. Either way, after a set amount of missions, a boss will appear. In the demo, this boss was a huge battleship that I had to fight while hopping along platforms that would sink into the sea after a set amount of turns. This fight leaned back into the whole movement-based mechanics of the game, forcing me to keep moving or win the battle quickly. This boss would target random spots on the map which I could see during my turn, making them basically inaccessible unless you were willing to take the damage from that attack. Then on other turns, it would specifically target a unit or 2, and the AoE would follow them wherever they went, forcing me to spread my units out and seek cover. Thankfully, skillful use of the sync system allowed me to defeat this boss quickly before running out of platforms. This victory, though, occurred on the easiest difficulty. So on another run, I went up on the difficulty, and this time I still made it to the boss. However, I took too much time and ended up losing the ground under my feet and lost. Overall, I really enjoyed my time with the demo, especially when I got to jump into a Metal Slug and decimate my enemies with its cannon. Oh yeah, you can use vehicles. Just jump into them on the battlefield and go to town. With Metal Slug at least, I was able to attack once each turn for each of its weapons, which really is a force multiplier. Use of a vehicle is limited though, based not only on its available HP, but also how much fuel it has. Use of a vehicle like this isn't something you typically see in tactics games, and I think it's a really cool touch and ode to the Metal Slug series roots. I'll be picking this one up when it releases on November 5th on my Switch, and hopefully have some more coverage of it after that. It was good to get back into making a new video. I know it's been a while, but I'm happy to be back. Remember to like, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and keep on gaming.